Hello guys, and welcome back to my YouTube channel here, where this is the next bit of an episode here, and we're just working on this song and we're just trying to clean up certain things within the vocal. So a lot of people ask me, what do I use on my vocal chain? And it can vary, whether it depends on the song. So if we was doing, say, a 50 song, a 60 song, whatever it is that we do, a rock and roll song, then we're going to go with the vibe of the vocal chain. So we're going to need to change and adapt as we go. But for this song, it's a bit more of a polished vocal song. It's a bit more of a up-to-date vocal, if you will, but it's also got the vibe of what I like on that vocal chain. So over here, where we have a little tiny bit of Melodyne. Again, for most singers who ask, is Melodyne good? My answer is absolutely. Like, whether you're an amazing singer, I sing in tune, sometimes I may hit a dull note, or sometimes I may hit a key that's just like, I went out of tune, or I went a little bit out of key there, and that's natural. We have that whether we're doing new songs or whether we're working on songs. So Melodyne just sort of brings that back in gently without overdoing it, because a lot of times I see and I hear there is a lot of over-tune where people use auto-tune and they put so much on it just sounds robotic, and we don't want that. But we're not going to go into that for this session here. What we're going to do is show you how to clean up your reverb. So after when you've finished your vocal, you've got it all down, you've done everything, all the tweaks and everything else, then we're going to just sort of clean up the vocal on the reverb. So down here on the 42, so bus 42, which is over here. So what we do, we create the bus, so then we keep this nice and clean. We keep this nice and clean to where it is just the Melodyne, the de-esser, the Pro Q3, which is an EQ, the UAD, again, the Pultec EQ. I've got a bit of Fairchild on there, which gives it a nice, really nice presence to the vocal. And then we have the final little bit of a touch there of the final EQ, which I've put on because after we did all this processing here, I felt like there was a little bit of mud in this area here. So I can show you this and what I mean by that. If we play the context with the mix.
I feel like keeps pulling me back like yesterday's
frozen off
in the stands. Everybody tells me time is a healer.
On.
If letting go was so easy, why does every road lead back to?
So what I do on this bit, it wasn't the whole vocal that was getting sort of like a muddiness or a little bit of clouded up area in that low end, which is this area here, but it was sort of building here. So instead of putting a normal EQ, what we do is if we just click onto this here, we come down to this bit here, click onto the little arrow, and we make that dynamic, okay, which is already dynamic, and I mentioned this in my other video. But basically what that does, it just dips out. You've already cleaned your EQ, so basically if you go up here and we see the Pro Q, I've already done my vocal chain here, so this is literally, as you can see, very little taken away. Like literally, like there's so many people who cut and they cut up here, or they lift up here, sorry, and then they cut down here. There's so many different areas where they take out, and before you know it, the vocal just becomes lifeless. It becomes squashed. It becomes just no energy to it. So we want to just take away a little bit, which I will go into that when I do a full-on episode there for you guys, so you can understand from scratch. And I'm going to do that for you definitely in the next one, guys. So this one here, we've done all the processing, we've added the de-esser, we've added the Pro Q, we've done the Pultec, which again just cleans up, gives it a little bit of high end, and then we are going down into the last bit of here, which dynamic, that takes away just that little bit of that boominess, or even that low end mud or rumble, whatever you want to call it. It just takes away that. But the dynamic version, when we switch to dynamic, it doesn't affect everything. It just affects that little bit there, guys. So that's why I have this on here. It just sort of, if you take a listen again, you can hear when I turn it off, it does feel a little bit muddy. So here we go.
I feel like keeps pulling me back like
Off.
yesterday's frozen in the sands. Everybody tells me time is a healer.
On.
If letting go was does every road lead back to you?
It just sort of helps to cut that mix through there, cut the vocal through, should I say, and it just helps to just clean that last little bit of steps. And again, I may just adapt to that and adjust that as well as I go. But down here, what I've done on the reverb, so we've got quite a few things going on here. We've got parallel compression, which is here the UAD 1176, and what that does, it sort of blends in and sort of works with opposite on the bus towards from the actual vocal chain. So the vocal chain's over here, and then we've got one. Sometimes I might use two compressions. Sometimes I might use the two compressions there over here, and I might go one and then another one. One being the first one will be a fast attack and a fast sort of energy to where it just tames the peaks. And then the second one just sort of evens that out there, right? So instead of doing that, this is exactly the same, except I've got this little fader here. So now I've put this on a bus 38. I can literally blend this in. So take a listen.
I feel like keeps pulling me back like yesterday's frozen.
Take that away.
Everybody tells me time is
bring it back in. Listen to the vocal cut through.
If letting go was so easy, why does every road lead back to you? I feel like keeps pulling.
What we do, we close our eyes and we just pull that back a little bit until we feel and say, okay, that's in a good spot. And then there we know that way we know that compression is now in a good spot there.
I feel like keeps pulling me back like yesterday's frozen in the sand.
There we go. As easy as that. Nice and feeling. We want to go with feeling rather than just looking at numbers saying, oh, it's at minus 16 there and minus 11.6. That will just literally throw you guys. You'll get caught up on that. Before you know it, you're starting to just go around in circles. So my idea and the way I'm trying to help you guys is by feel the music, guys. Feel that music. Does it sound good? Is the vocal cutting through? Is it sitting above the mix? And that's what we want. We want that vocal to sit just above the mix there. Okay, here we go.
I feel like keeps pulling me back like yesterday's frozen.
Come down here to the reverb, and we're going to just go down here to the reverb, and I always put the Pro Q3, so before the big reverb. So let me just explain here what we've got. We've got the second one here, which is the echo board, just giving a little bit of a vibe there to where not literally just so you can feel it, not hear it. And then we've got the 40, which is again a little bit more of delay. We've got the Magnus Springs here, which is Magnus Spring, absolutely amazing plugin this. And this here is like the short verb. It's the short reverb, sort of just to give that energy of the vocal before we go into the big reverb. So rather than just going straight into the big reverb, we're sort of just giving it a bit of a blend there and a nice vibe with the short, and then going into the next one there, guys. So again, this one here, especially on the long tail reverb, it's so important, in my opinion, to put the Pro Q3 or any EQ, what you want to use, just make sure you put it before, not after. I mean, you can put it after, you can even put one before and one after if that's what you want to do, because people say, well, why would we put it before? The answer to that is, and there's no right answer, there's no right way. Music is music. If you want to not put that on there, you don't have to put that on there. But my feeling over time and what I've been working with and understanding certain reverbs, they can clutter up the vocal, they can start to sound and just washed out. So basically what we do, we put an energy here where we cut it, and I like to cut this here. So if you take a listen, if we solo this vocal, we solo the vocal just a reverb. So here we go. Let's make sure that's on solo, and here we go. We're going to turn this EQ off. See how that becomes more washed? It cuts away and sort of just keeps it tidy. So then we focus on this bit here, which is the mids, where then that nice lush reverb can come through there, because that then from that EQ will go straight into the reverb, rather than not having that on and it just being this and just getting clouded and cluttered up there. So basically we're cleaning up the vocal chain here, or should I say we're cleaning up before it hits the reverb. And that's my idea there of why I do this. So again, here's the reverb. So again, we'll play it into context with the whole mix, and I'll turn the Pro Q off and I'll turn it back on. So here we go. So let's listen.
Keeps pulling me back like yesterday's frozen in the sand. Everybody tells me time is a healer. If letting go was so easy, why does every road lead back to you? I feel like keeps pulling me back like yesterday's frozen in the sand. Everybody tells me.
There we go. So that's the low end. And then on this side, we can take us up to, normally I say around 6, mainly around 5 to 6K, somewhere around there. And you don't have to do that. You can bring it right back here, which will give more of a tail. But I like to keep it around 6, just so it's not getting too washed out. But go with the vibe of your song. Your song might be a little bit slower, so you might want a little bit of extra tail. Go with what you need. Remember, the EQ is not going to give you a longer tail, as in like reverb tail, but what it will do, it will let through the energy of that. Okay, guys? So again, and that would be also mainly if you put this after the reverb. But at the moment, we're cleaning up. We're just cleaning up the reverb, or should I say cleaning up the vocals so no muddiness goes through into the reverb. So once we've done that, we can say, okay, this is sounding cool. So what we could do now is put, if we wanted to, we could literally put another EQ on here if we wanted to. Now, this is just optional, guys. So like I say, we can literally bring this down here. We could literally make this into the high shelf, high cut. So we could bring this here and we could put that roughly, I don't know, roughly about 10.
I feel like keeps pulling me back like yesterday's frozen in the sand. Everybody tells me time is a healer. If letting go was so easy.
Again, my idea there, we wouldn't really need that, is especially going into what we would do though, and what we can do is we can turn this off and we can go the other way. We can go this way.
I feel like keeps pulling me back like yesterday's frozen in the sand. Everybody tells me time is a healer. If letting go was so easy, why does every road lead back?
What we could do, again, there is no right or wrong. What we could do is we could turn that up and we could turn that off and we could just cut the low end. So there's no set way, but that is definitely one of the other ways there to sort of balance and bring your reverb into a little bit more cleaner rather than it being completely washed out. Because being washed out, guys, you're just going to overwhelm the vocal. And listen to this now. So what we do, we boost this. If we want to get the exact levels, we can boost this right up.
I feel like keeps pulling me back like yesterday's frozen in the sand. Everybody tells me time is a healer. If letting go was so easy, why does every road lead back to you?
So we could even cut 250, roughly 270 if we wanted to. Again, there's no set number, and because we've done that, then we can push this up a little bit further down here where the use that as a volume, just because then we've cut so much of the low end out here. So again, listen to this.
I feel like keeps pulling me back like yesterday's frozen
try.
in the sand. Everybody tells me time is a healer. If letting go was so easy, why does every road lead back to you?
There there we go. So in my ears, that seems cool. But then what I do, just to make sure, in my ears, that's like, okay, that's a good spot. I always bring it back 1 dB roughly. Just to play in that safe zone. Take a listen now.
I feel like keeps pulling me back like yesterday's frozen in the sands. Everybody tells me time is a healer.
Notice before we get to that next word or that next part of the song, the vocal isn't washed out. It's not washing into that next bit there. If it was a slower song, I would probably put the time of the reverb, I would probably turn this up here, which is the decay, which is again the 2.54 seconds. Literally, that is literally where it is right now for this song, but we can change that if I was to put that. So if I move that right up, let's take a listen to this.
I feel like keeps pulling me back like yesterday's
way too much
in the sands. Everybody tells me time is a healer.
Now we can have a big decay on it, which would give a long tail, but then we'd need to tame that with the EQ after. You see, so it's all different tricks and things to what we do, but we've got to just trust of what we're doing, what we feel. Okay, guys. So remember, always trust your ears, but trust your feeling. If it doesn't feel good, if it feels not right, if something feels off, if the guitars feel too harsh, or if the piano's coming through a little too high, trust it, listen to it, and just focus on that point till you get to that next point. And that way, your mixing will become you'll be a bit more confident because you're feeling the music rather than just looking at numbers and things like that. So that's my advice there for this little episode. It's not a great big of an episode there, guys, but I just wanted to show you guys how to sort of, again, one of many ways to clean up your reverb before or after the reverb. There's no set way. If it feels good to you, try it. See what works for you. What works for you might not work for another person. Remember, it's all about testing and trying different things. But I can assure you that putting that on before the reverb is a great technique right here. And again, roughly, I will say for this song, let's just feel this song again.
I feel like keeps pulling me back like yesterday's frozen in the sands. Everybody tells me time is a healer. Letting go was so easy. Why does every road lead back?
That to me, in my ears, sounds great. So like I said, guys, I hope this has given you a little bit of help towards your mixing. And feel free, guys, to go and follow me over on Instagram, again, under Northern Lyrics, guys. Northern Lyrics Music, guys. Like I said, feel free to go and follow me. If you've got any questions, send a little comment on the YouTube channel here, or send me a direct message over on Instagram. If you would like help mixing and mastering and you want me to help you to create, whether it's mixing your vocals or even having whatever it is you're trying to, or you're stuck with, if you've got a session in, but you're like, how do I do this? How do I mix this? How do I balance this? Whatever it is that you're stuck with, send me a message. I would love to help you guys. Enjoy. Make sure you subscribe, guys. I will update and I will do another episode next week from scratch from a brand new song that we are going to be working on. Hope this helps, guys. Thank you so much. This is Pete from Northern Lyrics.